Hello. So let's talk about today rules for order of operation. We've heard the old saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, also called PEMDAS. If we follow these order of operations, we'll tend to get the correct answer as long as, of course, our math is correct. So if we start out with the P represents parentheses, brackets, braces, meaning we need to clean everything inside the parentheses, brackets, or braces before we can do anything else around it. E is going to be my exponent, power, degree. It's what are we raising that number to? The next one is multiplication, which is M. Also we call it times, product, and then after that one is division. So before I go further, I want to talk a little bit about multiplication and division. We got quotient. So when we talk just a minute about multiplication and division, I can go back and number. P, parentheses, bracket, and braces is first. 2 is my exponential, my power, my degree is what I'm raising it to. 3 is multiplication and 4 is division, but 3 and 4 are grouped together. And we read this equation left to right, or function, whichever you're working in. Read left to right. Whichever one of these two comes first is the one I'm going to perform first, following these rules. And then next we got A for addition, S for subtraction. Well, let's talk about subtraction and addition. Well, addition would be 5 and 6 would be subtraction, but they're grouped together as well, and the same rule applies to it. We read it left to right, and whichever one comes first, we perform that operation. So I want to use an example to demonstrate the rules. So the example I have chosen is inside of a parentheses 2 plus 5. And then I'm going to have a bracket, and inside the bracket I have 10 divides 5 times 2 plus 3 squared minus, and then inside of another parenthesis, 6 plus 4. Close the bracket. So now I'm going to use a checklist to make sure that I followed my rules. My first rule says parentheses, bracket, or braces, and I notice that I have parentheses and a bracket. Well, when I go to separate it, I notice this is a parentheses. I can go ahead and clean it up. 2 plus 5 is 7. But I also noticed that I have a bracket here, and I've got a lot going on in there. So we're going to have to follow some rules in order to clean it up. So I'm going to bring this bracket right here down. I'm going to go ahead and bring this one down. It's going to give me some space, but that's okay. Inside this bracket, what's going to come first? I see that I have a parenthesis, so it needs to come first. 6 plus 4 is 10, and I'm going to bring everything else down. And then we're going to go back to our checklist. So we're still inside the bracket, but we took care of a parentheses. What's next? Our exponential, our power, our degree. So I noticed that this 3 squared is my exponential. 3 squared means 3 times 3. That means 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. Let's bring all the rest down. Let's not forget our 7 on the outside of the bracket. Sometimes that's easy to do, and we don't want to do that. Again, we're still inside the bracket, and we're cleaning it up, so let's go read the rules. I'm still following these rules here, and I noticed that I got division, times, plus, minus, and according to the rules, we read left to right which one came first, and that's going to be this division. So 10 minus 5 is 2, and let's bring everything else down. Alright, so once I've done that, again, I go back to my order of operations. We got multiplication and division. And I see that we checked off the division. Now we got multiplication here. 2 times 2 is 4. So let's bring everything else down. And order of operations says read it again, left to right. What came first? Well, I have a plus and a minus. The plus came first, so I have 4 plus 9 is 13. Let's bring everything else down. Order of operations says still got to clean up the parentheses or bracket. In this case, we got 13 minus 10, which is 3. Bring down the 7. And since there is no operation sign in between the 7 and the bracket, this represents multiplication. 7 times 3 is 21. And that is my answer following the rules of operation, order of operations.